Hey there, Smite fans, welcome back to another prediction video. This one's going to be for the SCL Fall Finals. This is going to be really interesting. I think they're going to be some great games because we get to finally see members from Europe come and face off against the people that we have in North America, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they will handle this. I think there's actually going to be a lot of competition at the upper bracket. Obviously, the top two teams from Europe, the North American Gauntlet winner, the European Gauntlet winner, and the top four teams from the NA side of things are going to be here, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they go off. And the very first match we have will be Friday at 1 p.m. and it's going to be Cyclone GG versus Aware Gaming. Now this one's going to be really interesting because both of these teams have a lot of potential. Cyclone obviously is a team that has a pretty interesting story throughout their SCL. They seemed like they were definitely going to be a really strong team early on, then they started to falter, and then they made a regroup and came back for the last couple weeks. So this team has a lot of potential if they've been working the way that they did earlier on and the way that they did kind of towards the end of their season. I feel like this game could definitely go in their favor, but that being said, Aware, kind of the same kind of path that they've been tracing down. They were this really, really strong team very early on, and as time went on, it seemed like they were starting to falter, or maybe the other teams were getting stronger, and then they had a snapback towards the end. They were able to find their footing again and be able to come in there, and because of that, because of the strength of these two teams, and honestly because I haven't seen them play for a few weeks, I'm gonna have to go and say that this is gonna fall down as a split between the two. It will really set the pace for the rest of the day and the rest of the weekend, but as it stands right now, I feel like it's just gonna be a split. For Team Eager versus AVGL Esports, this one's gonna be, I want to say, a little bit one-sided. AVGL Esports is a relatively strong team, but I don't think they're strong enough to take on Eager. Eager has pretty much risen to the top, and they are the one team out of this that I think has come out with the most LAN wins. I think they're very, very good. They're going to be very veteran here. I think they're going to have a lot of interesting things going on for them, and I think that they're going to be able to take this one just as a stronger team overall. Now, Allegiance versus Elevate will also be a very, very close game, much like the Cyclone versus Aware game, because while Elevate was more of a weak team starting on, they've slowly but surely pushed themselves to a point where they're definitely sitting towards the top. They have a lot of contention here, but Allegiance is the #1 seed coming into this. Allegiance here is going to be very, very strong, and I don't think that they're going to be coming out with anything but their best gameplay here. They know a lot is on the line. They want to be able to take the win and go to Worlds. As it stands, I think this one's going to fall in favor of Team Allegiance. I think it's going to be some hard victories, but I think they're going to be able to take both. Now, the hardest games out of these are going to be the ones where it's EU versus North America, because neither of these teams have played each other, and they have some different styles. The EU is a little bit more patient, a little bit more calculated on how they want to do things, and Rival is very much a strong team. They came out on top. They stomped in Europe. They are easily the best team that they had to offer, and I feel like they're going to be getting a lot of competition out of SOAR on the other side. SOAR does have a lot of experience. SOAR is a definitely very strong console team as well, but the dominating performance that Rival had throughout the season, I think, is going to be something that kind of spells them here. I think SOAR is going to be able to cause them trouble because I think Rival will be a little bit out of their comfort zone, not only being on land, but being up against a North American team might throw them off a little bit. But I know the coach, I know a lot of the players here, and when it comes down to it, Rivals just got their head in the game. They're going to be focusing really hard, and if they can play anywhere near the way they played throughout this season, they're not going to have any trouble taking a 2-0 here. Starting up on Saturday, we will have Aware Gaming versus Elevate, and this is going to be, again, it's another kind of game where we've seen them play before. These two teams are relatively strong, but against each other, they're more than likely going to split. They're just not too too strong for each other. They're here in this kind of position where Aware has the potential to take two games, but it's more likely that they'll only be able to find one and Elevate will return one, or vice versa. These two teams are, I don't want to say lackluster compared to some of the others, but like I said, Aware and Elevate both had a really strong performance showing out. Elevate had more of a weaker performance than Aware did, and they slowly got stronger. Aware started out strong, but seemed to have gotten weaker, and overall, I just feel like these two teams had potential, but they just haven't been able to push it out, as Eager and SOAR have kind of been putting them down. For AVGL Esports versus SOAR Gaming, while I think AVGL might have some potential to cause trouble for SOAR, I think SOAR overall is going to be able to control this one. Should be a relatively easy 2-0 for them. It might be a little bit difficult. Again, AVGL does have the opportunity to throw a lot of bumps in the road. They could turn something around if SOAR gets a little too cocky. I mean, we've seen it happen with the Challenger Cup Finals. We've seen it happen in the Pro League. We've seen it happen anywhere that you watch a Smite game. Teams that get too far ahead, they can get cocky, they can throw. SOAR, there's the potential for them to throw here, but I think they're going to be able to take it in a 2-0. So while I think Cyclone is going to be definitely decent to go up against Aware, I don't think they're going to have the same kind of potential here against Team Allegiance. Allegiance is just a little bit too strong for them here. Coming out as the #1 seed in North America, they're obviously earning that spot very heavily, and it's going to be interesting to see what Cyclone can do against them. If they've been practicing really hard, they have a lot of potential here, but overall, Allegiance just looking like the stronger team, more than likely going to be able to take this in a 2-0. Now, much like Rival versus Soar, this one's going to be very interesting. Eager has so much potential here, and Soar, the same, has a lot of potential against this team. They're both really strong. Eager and Soar, both having played on LAN before, is going to be able to have that element of, I guess, comfort under their belt so that they are a little bit more comfortable with what they're doing. But Rival is a strong team. And I feel like that's a little bit of an understatement. I think their final score at the end of the week, it was like 14-2 or 16-2, I can't remember. But the team, I mean, they had 2 losses. They essentially came out at the end of the split losing twice. With 14-16 wins somewhere in there, that's a really huge deficit for them. And being able to come in with that kind of strength, I think Eager, again, can give them a little bit of trouble. Eager might be able to turn something around, but for the most part, I feel like Rival's going to have this in a 2-0. While Eager and Soar might have the potential to take a game off of Rival and kind of cause a little bit of an upset, Rival really proving to be kind of like the NRG of this area in the console league, but XL eSports doesn't quite have the same amount of strength to them. They're a good team, they're a strong team, but Team Rival is going to have a relatively easy time reaping through this team. For Allegiance versus Aware, Allegiance, again, is the #1 seed team coming out from North America. Aware, they're strong. They might even be able to take a game, but I think Allegiance is going to be bringing out their best. I think Allegiance is going to have this one in a 2-0. For Cyclone versus Elevate, this one's going to be a relatively close matchup, I believe. I think Elevate has a lot of potential here, and I think Cyclone has a lot of potential here, depending on how they're feeling. Again, this is going to be on the 3rd day of the LAN. This is going to be them feeling a little bit more comfortable at this point. They're going to be rested in their spots. They're going to be ready to play. But both of these teams, their teamwork has kind of been off and on throughout the split. A lot of things have been going on, and as it stands, I feel like it's going to be a split between the two of them, just because neither one of them has really shown the strength that I think they need to be able to topple the other in a 2-0. And for Team Eager versus Soar Gaming, this is pretty much the matchup of always. This has always been the thing that comes between the Xbox teams. Eager and Soar are honestly more rivals, I want to say, than anybody else in North America or Europe at this point. And I feel like that's going to show here. I think these are going to be some great games to watch. The last set on Sunday night. This one will be the last game we get to see. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see it. I think it's going to be a split between the two teams. They both have a lot of potential here. Eager could definitely take it. Soar could definitely take it. It depends on how hard they practice and how much they are comfortable in the LAN spots, how comfortable they are as a team, if anything has gone change, if they get banned out. It's going to be really interesting to see, and I think it's going to be a split, but I think they're going to be great. And there's one game not on the season ticket and not mentioned here, but it will be mentioned for the video, and that is going to be the AVGL Finals. So for those who do not know, the AVGL stuff is the collegiate league. They've been fighting for part of a $10,000 grand prize finals. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens out of this, because the two teams we have a lot of familiar names from the Challengers Cup. On the one side, we have the Texas A&M Pistol Petes, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they do, because again, this team has practiced a lot. In fact, some of the members of this have played on LAN recently. This will be a PC LAN for them during the console. I think it's the morning of Sunday, and I feel like it's going to be really interesting. People you might recognize, obviously, a lot of people know Data Remember, Fine OK, Dingo Dial, Y-Try, and Osath from Texas A&M Pistol Petes, and they will be going up against Nodes Gaming. Now, Nodes Gaming is definitely a very strong team for this as well, and they're going to be coming out with Collateral, Fatal, Dean Cole, Daniel's Game, and Mojo Cat, and it's going to be really interesting because these teams have fought a long way to get here. I've been casting for those. It's been very interesting to watch them go through the regular season, through the playoffs. It was really, really nice to see these teams grow. Pistol Petes, during the semifinals, during the playoffs, they had a little bit of trouble, but I feel like that's part of the reason is because Data Remember and Fine OK were on LAN and high-res that weekend trying to play not only from high-res on computers they didn't know, but they had been practicing with their team to try and win their finals. So I feel like this time coming around, they're going to be coming into this LAN a little bit stronger because they have been able to practice with each other. Nodes Gaming didn't have as much trouble throughout the playoffs. It was a little bit easier for them. They were able to come through pretty much on top like everybody who had been watching expected. So the question is, what exactly are these teams going to be doing? Overall, I do feel like I'm going to have to lean in favor of Pistol Pete's here. I think they're just going to be a little bit stronger. I think it's going to be a 2-1. It's a best of 3. I think they're going to be able to take it in 2 games. It's going to be a 3-game series. They're going to be able to take the first and the last one, I feel, is what's really going to happen here. Data, remember, is a very good shot caller. He's a very smart player, and the rest of the team seems to recognize that, and they play as a very cohesive unit when they are focused. That being said, being on land, it does change things up, so it could go either way here. It's really a toss-up. These two teams are very close, and I can't wait to see them go on through the finals. But as for that, that's all I have for this week, guys. Next, we will more than likely be covering Super Regionals. I'm going to be doing something kind of like I did for the DreamHack prediction video I did earlier this year, which is covering the bracket and going through and kind of showing a visual of what I expect to see these teams doing. So as it is, thanks again to everyone for watching. I know the SCL Finals aren't as interesting to some people as the PC games will be, but I can tell you these teams have been a lot more interesting than a lot of people are giving them credit for. They've been able to do a lot, and they're playing extraordinarily well for a console team. They are definitely going to be some great games, and I think this weekend's going to be a very good day for Smite eSports.